Hi everyone, I just wanted to make a quick video to go over the first part of the Lab 11 that you just completed. So here I have our Pro open, and this is the census tract shape file you downloaded from the US Census Department. So if I add this, as most of you noticed, that it kind of looks a little different. It's more stretched from west to east, and it's kind of squat from north to south. And the reason for that is if we open up our properties and we go to source, spatial references, we'll notice that it has a geographic coordinate system of NAD83, and all boundary files, roads, etc. from the census have this coordinate system. So the thing is we can look also down here and we can look at the map units, and they're in decimals, and so they're decimal degrees, which is going to indicate that it is not a projected coordinate system. So when you add in a layer, the very first layer you add to ArcPro, the data frame right here where it says map will take on those, either the coordinate system or the coordinate system and projection, or if it doesn't have any of those, it'll take that on. And we can open this up and go to properties. We can see in display units that it's being in decimal degrees because it does not have a projection. And when a projection, we will assign that to some more meaningful measurements, feet, meters, something like that. If we go to coordinate systems, we'll notice, yes, NAD83, and it's coming from this layer. So now let's go and project this data so it doesn't look kind of skewed. So if we just type into here, project data management, yep, we don't want that one, or we can just go to project. So input is going to be the layer. The output feature data set, we'll call it Idaho Census Tract. And then here we got to find the coordinate system that we want. So we can select this. We're going to use a projected coordinate system, and we're going to use a state system. And then we'll scroll down here till we find Idaho. So Idaho TM stands for transverse Mercator, and it's going to be in meters. And then we click OK, and then we should push run. And it gave us, project was verified, it worked, it's complete. So now we have, and I'll change this color here to some different color just so we can see. Oop, that was not a good change in color since it didn't have an outline to it. Let's change that to something else. So I changed that, but as you'll notice, it still looks the same, right? It doesn't, the shape hasn't changed. And the reason why the shape hasn't changed is because if we go to the data frame and we go to properties, it's still showing us that it's a NAD83. We haven't changed that at all. So there's two ways you can change it. The simple way is we can just click on this and say OK, and now it changes. So now this map frame, the data frame, is going to be correct. Another way you can do it, depends on where you are in the process. If you actually just restarted ArcPro and brought in the new layer, Idaho Census Tracts, it would project correctly because it's there. So then we can just remove this because we don't need that. We can also then go back to catalog, and then we can find the CSV file we created with the percent 25 and over for bachelor's degrees. So we can add that. And so the next thing you will have to do is kind of join this data. And to join this data, so what we want to know is we want to map this the percent 25 and over that have a bachelor's degree by county. So this is the percent. We want to join this to these boundaries. And so if I open up the census tract, so now in here we have to find, well, what the column here, the column name does not have to be the same. between these two files. But what does need to be the same is the data in the columns. So if I look at the AFF GeoID, and we can look at this value, and if I look at this in the CSV file, they are the same. The GeoID, and this is a different name, but that doesn't matter. The data that's in here is the only thing that matters. And then you can just go ahead and do your join, add a join, and do that. And I'll let you kind of figure that out because most of you did, but you have to join that on that. So those are kind of, I wanted to show you why your map looks a little different. So anytime now you add a new layer to the map, it is going to do something called on-the-fly projection. So if it's not in a, for example, a transverse Mercator, if you were to add in another, let's say a road layer for Idaho that you download from the Census Department, and it was just a NAT83, it would do something called on-the-fly projection, which means it would make everything line up and look correctly. But the best way when you're going to do some kind of more analysis on that data, it's always best to not do it on the fly projection, but actually go in and change everything so you're all on the same projected coordinate system. So that explains kind of the beginning parts of Lab 11.